yo, it's Marc with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Tuesday, October 18th. You can follow the show on social media at Fantasy Knockout. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're watching or listening on, and let's hit that goal of 100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm excited for today's show. It's the Week 7 must-add players. Who are we looking at this week? Who is the flavor of the week at quarterback and defense? Let's talk some news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. So wide receiver Van Jefferson from the Los Angeles Rams, his head coach Sean McVay said that he expects to have Jefferson with the knee injury back after the team's Week 7 bye. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa out of Miami, his head coach Mike McDaniel said he expects Tua with the concussion to start Week 7. So see if he's been dropped. Wide receiver Hollywood Marquise Brown from Arizona. He had an MRI that showed that Hollywood had a non-surgical fracture in his foot and will be out for about 6 weeks. Bummer, because he was doing pretty good with Kyler. So it's good timing with Hopkins and his suspension just ending. Quarterback Carson Wentz from Washington. He's going to be facing a 4 to 6 week recovery after fracturing his finger in last Thursday's game. So Taylor Heineke is going to be the starter there while Wentz is out. Wide receiver Robbie Anderson from Carolina. He was just acquired by the Arizona Cardinals, so he's going to be replacing Hollywood's role. I expect his production to be very similar to what he was in Carolina. Not much to, maybe a flex start during bye weeks if you're in need. Tight end Cameron Brate from Tampa Bay. He had x-rays that came back negative on his neck, which is good. He was believed to have a concussion or even a back injury. So if he misses time, look for Cade Otton to fill his role. And then wide receiver Michael Thomas from the New Orleans Saints. Reports saying they have the Thursday night game. So there's reports that say the Saints are expected to miss Thomas and Landry in this Thursday's game. Main event, the players to add for Week 7, your waiver wire edition. So just real quick, teams on bye. These guys, get them out of your lineups. Don't let your opponent have a free pass with these guys in your lineups. Teams on bye is Buffalo, the Rams, Minnesota Vikings, and the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of good teams this week. So I know a lot of people are going to be missing some studs. So I have these players listed in order of importance by position. We'll start off with the quarterbacks. Tua Tagovailoa out of Miami. He's about 68% owned. If he's out there, pick him up. Maybe he was dropped. Dak Prescott as well. He's from Dallas. He's about 78% owned. These guys are most likely owned in your leagues, but just double check. You never know. Trevor Lawrence from Jacksonville, he's about 65% owned as well. Daniel Jones from the Giants, he's 30% owned. And then Matt Ryan from Indianapolis, he's put together 2 good weeks, so we'll see if we can roll that into another good week this week. He's about 28% owned. If you're in need for a tight end, Robert Tonyan from Green Bay, he had a great game this last week. He's about 42% owned. Let's see if him and Rodgers can continue that with Cobb being out. Dawson Knox from Buffalo, yes, it is his bye week. See if he was dropped. You might want to stash him if you have that available spot on your bench. He's about 68% owned. And then Cade Otton, we talked about him briefly in the news. Pick him up if Brate is going to miss. He's about 6% owned. And then Daniel Bellinger from the Giants, he's about 2% owned. Some running backs, Kenyon Drake from Baltimore, he's about 5% owned. He looks like he's filling in more as J.K. Dobbins is still kind of adjusting with his knee. Eno Benjamin from Arizona, see if he's out there. He's about 77% owned. Deion Jackson from Indianapolis, as long as Taylor or Nyheim Hines miss, he's about 43% owned. 43% owned. He looks like he's the guy there filling in the role. Mike Boone from Denver, he's about 40% owned. Malcolm Brown from the Rams with Cam Akers allegedly not going to be playing for the Rams anymore. We'll see. Malcolm Brown filled in pretty good. He's about 1% owned. Rachaad White from Tampa Bay, I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. He's 34% owned. Go pick him up, stash him on your bench, hold on to White. Joshua Kelly from the Chargers, he's about 17% owned. He's a great handcuff if Eckler misses time or gets hurt. And then Deontay Foreman from Carolina, he's about 5% owned. If the McCaffrey news about him possibly being traded, Foreman would step in as the number 1 running back there in Carolina. All right, some wide receivers. Rondale Moore out of Arizona, he's about 46% owned. Pick him up with the Hollywood news. He's going to be that slot guy there. Alec Pierce from Indianapolis, he's been stepping it up. He's been a good rookie. He's about 38% owned. Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants, he's about 8% owned. He looks like he's going to be the lone receiver there for Daniel Jones. Jameson Williams from Detroit, he's coming back from his bye. He's still on the NFI list. He's about 32% owned. Pick him up. He should be a nice play rest of the season. Robbie Anderson from Arizona. He's about 13% owned. See if he's out there. You could stash him, see how he develops, if he develops with Kyler. Tyquan Thornton from New England, he's the rookie there. He's about 1% owned. He had a nice solid game. Maybe pick him up, see if something develops there too. And then Chase Claypool, maybe he was dropped. He's out of Pittsburgh. He's about 41% owned. All right, guys, here's some droppable players. Yes, I just told you guys who to pick up. Now here's some guys that you could drop and make room for the new players that I just told you to add. If you have running back Cam Akers or Antonio Gibson, if you need to move on from them, go ahead and move on. It's okay. If you have wide receivers, Elijah Moore from the Jets, Russell Gage from Tampa Bay, Allen Robinson from the Rams, Joshua Palmer from the Chargers, it's okay to move on from those guys. Quarterbacks, if you got Carson Wentz, drop him. Don't need to hold on to him. You can let tight end Will Disley go or Tyler Conklin if you need to. Here's some streaming quarterbacks for the week. Daniel Jones from the Giants. He's at Jacksonville. He's about 30% owned. He looks decent. He's got a nice floor with his rushing ability, and we're hoping for that high-scoring game there. And then the other guy is Marcus Mariota out of Atlanta. He's got Cincinnati at home. He's about 15% owned. He provides, again, a safe floor with his rushing ability. That's what we're looking for in streaming, and we're just hoping for that shootout with Cincinnati there. Some streaming defenses this week. My top defense to go get is the New York Jets. They are at Denver. They're 3% owned. The Jets in the last 3 games they've played, they haven't given up more than 20 points per game. They have 9 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. They look like they're figuring things out on the defensive side in New York. You can also pick up Miami Dolphins. They have Pittsburgh. They're about 16% owned. They face Mitch Trubisky. Enough said. Pick up the Tennessee Titans defense. They're at home versus Indianapolis. They're about 8% owned. The last time they faced Indy, they gave up only 17 points. They had 3 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 fumble recoveries. They had a nice matchup there. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. The next show is the Week 7 must-start players. I want to say thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're on. Please leave that rating and review. Really helps me out. All right. Till next time. See ya.